the most important aspects of learning and performing pieces on the classical guitar is the question of which right and left hand fingers we should use. I've made a series of short tutorials on many aspects of guitar technique, but this subject's far too involved for just 1 or 2 lessons. There are many ways of playing the same phrase on the guitar. One of our jobs is to figure out the best and easiest way. I feel that the best way for students to get an idea and learn their way around the fretboard is not just to be shown a few good examples, but for them to be presented with problems to solve themselves. Every Friday for the next few months I'll set 2 tasks, one easy and one more difficult for the more advanced players for you to work on, and the following week I'll give a solution. There won't be long extracts, just a few bars, so they won't affect the rest of your practice, but hopefully you'll pick up many hints and ideas on what makes some fingerings work and others not. Here's an easier example of the kind of things we'll look at. Here's the first few bars of Cocasse's 14th Study, Opus 60. It's often a good idea to solve these problems back to front. So if we look at the last bar going into the B minor chord, you've got the open E, F sharp, and then a jump to the B minor chord there. So that's not good. So what I suggest, and actually Cocasse himself suggests, is to do this. So it's 1, 2, open 2, and then you'll see 1 and 3 are free to play that chord. I'll play that slowly. So much easier than. Okay, so if we work back from there. That's as you would expect, the bar before. Okay, so let's have a quick think about the right hand fingering for that, because it does affect how we're going to finger the left hand, as you'll see when we work our way backwards. So when we cross strings, let's say we're crossing from the E string to the B string, it's the natural thing to do to play either M then I or A then M, just because of the way the fingers are. It would be slightly more awkward to play I and then M. Sometimes you'll have to do it, but it's good to avoid doing this if at all possible. So in this case, here's a crossing. So to take the last note onto that D should be an M and then an I. So we know we're going to be alternate fingering, so we can write in the fingering going backwards, which means we're going to be starting on I. So I, M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I. And you get that nice crossing. So because of the nature of the piece, it's full of semiquavers. We know that all of that is going to be IM. Okay, so now let's go back to the left hand and I'll show you why this affects how we're going to finger the rest of it. So you may expect to play the first bar like this. So if we play that open E, we have the I finger and then an awkward crossing to the B string. Now if you play the E rather than open, but 5th fret on the B string, that feels 5 times as easy. up again, we use another fourth finger and the crossing's good again. Play the whole thing. The only downside of doing it this way is that on the way up you have to lose the D bass note. But I think it's a price worth paying. So here's the whole passage. And once more at speed. So here's the next problem. One thing you'll learn about my approach is that I don't generally trust the fingerings that are given in the books, and I generally like to work them out myself, and I think this extract is a good example of why. So it's only the second bar that I disagree with, okay, from the book. The book has this. And then you've got to jump to here. Which is okay, but if we look at that jump from the second bar to the third bar, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now if we're playing this at any kind of speed, you can slide the third, that's a good thing, but that 1, 1, 1, 1 I don't like. So I tried to find a way around this, and I did manage to. So if we go back to the first bar, I slide 2 and 3 and 1 to there. So instead of playing it 2, 3, 1, I'm playing it 1, 3, 2. Okay? So that's one good thing. You can slide the fingers. Now the second good thing about this is 4, 1, 3, 2. Get 1 ready now. See? You can still slide the 3. That is so much easier. And the rest is the same as the book. But it's just a little, like I say, a little example of why it's really good to think about these problems and try and solve them. I hope to cover many of these techniques in the coming months, but here are a couple of puzzles for you to look at this week to get us started. So the first is from Giuliani's 17th study of his Opus 48 collection, and I'd like to hear a really clean, smooth bass line and the notes above to be held for the full length. And the second of the problem is Segreras, Book 5, number 1, and again the bass line I'd like to hear nice and smooth. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you next Friday.